Joining me now to discuss all of this craziness, Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. He's been following this courtship and this process since the beginning. Mike, it took a long time, but it's finally happened. Lane Kiffin is here in Baton Rouge. He's already met with recruits, and the train's rolling. It is. It's a splash hire. There was no other name on the board that was going to make this big of an impact. I think the timing is perfect. Certainly from the Ole Miss perspective, and maybe even the local perspective, maybe you would like the transition from how he got here to here been a little bit cleaner, but there was no way you were going to not break some eggs making this. And so recruiting this week, signing days, and now a month to evaluate this current roster while you watch them prepare for the bowl. He gets to build his staff, and then they really get to work the portal. That's a positive because you've got a whole month to get ready for January, which is going to be vitally important for how good this LSU football team is going to be in 2026. To me, this could be considered an unprecedented coaching move. You go from one program that's in the SEC, that's on the precipice of a college football playoff berth, a couple wins away from a national championship, and instead of that, you leave for another SEC program that hasn't done much relevant in the past couple years, and you have a project on your hands. Have you seen something like this before? No, but it's kind of one of those deals where leave it to Lane Kiffin to do something like this. And but look, you saw it at the airport. This is a monumental hire. I think a lot of people, when Brian Kelly was hired, wish that LSU would have went for Lane Kiffin then. And he's the guy now, and it bodes well for Verge Alsbury. I think it brings a lot of excitement. I equate it very similarly to the hire of Kim Mulkey, just a dynamic personality. Look, we've seen it for every summer at SEC Media Days. Lane Kiffin is the star. And so I think the transfer portal and trying to attract, which is basically free agency, it's pro sports, let's be honest. And the attraction, particularly for offensive players, to want to be a part of his offense at LSU, I think LSU's going to get well in a hurry. If they've got holes in the roster, and particularly with the amount of money that they're going to have to spend in NIL, I think it's going to be a fun next 2 months. This isn't like the NFL where a coach will take a job, Kellen Moore, for example, and the roster is gutted. They got to go through a couple drafts, and it's going to take a little while for them to have success. This is college football. You can flip a roster over in a year. You can hit the portal, bring in instant impact players, and you expect that from Kiffin, at least from an offensive standpoint, that he'll bring some guys in and they'll get this thing moving. Yeah, and a big component of it is quarterback. And you know, is Chambliss at Ole Miss going to get an extra year of eligibility? He could. And what if he comes here? And so what do we see when a dynamic quarterback like that can mask a lot of problems where you've got holes? Because Jaden Daniels did it. And, boy, you don't talk about it. You've already got a shot in the arm with this head coach and what he's bringing if something like that were to happen. But if Chambliss isn't the guy, they're going to attract a big-time quarterback. And you still have Michael Van Buren on the roster, who's had some opportunities here, showed some good, shown some bad, but I feel like anybody in the portal sees LSU, Lane Kiffin, at least quarterback, offensive players, they want to be there. They may also want to be there because of Blake Baker and or Frank Wilson. So these are kind of the two aces LSU has in its pocket right now, the interim head coach, the defensive coordinator. A lot of people think that Baker is a guy that could take the open Tulane job, could be a head coach in the future. We'll see if Lane Kiffin elects to retain him, and then Frank Wilson, the interim head coach, has been with the program for a while as an associate head coach, running back coach. What do you do with these two guys? Yeah, look, you let him hire his staff, and if he sees more value in those guys, it's very notable. Not on the plane was his running backs coach from Ole Miss, who's been with him both at Florida Atlantic and Ole Miss. And so I think that bodes well for Frank Wilson. He's going to get to see Frank Wilson coach for the next month in preparation for the bowl. Or we're going to find out how they're going to handle all that tomorrow, I'm assuming. But I think Blake Baker is a big keep though. But you're right. I don't know what Tulane's going to end up doing replacing John Sumrall. But if Blake Baker's sticking around, how well that unit has performed all season long. Kept LSU in that game yesterday with a fantastic effort. Blake Baker and a lot of those guys on that side of the ball, it'd be great to keep all of them. We only have a few moments left here before we have to return to the news and the other stuff happening in the city. What would you grade the Lane Kiffin hire on a school grading scale, report card style? It's A. I mean, it's an A. It's an A plus. You can. All of us have been putting out hot boards and listing candidates as soon as Brian Kelly got fired. And
It was just Lane Kiffin, and everybody was a distant third. There was,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and then look, that was their guy. I mean, you can't even name who the second guy was.
Right. Maybe it was Summerall. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll never know. It was Lane Kiffin. That was the only option. The Tigers get him. Thanks a lot, Mike. Appreciate it. Check out his work, tigerbait.com. Give him a follow on social media. Been following this since the beginning. They do great work over there covering all LSU sports. Liam?